Hello and welcome back to the workshop. Here we have a Fayee FY01, which is a tracked and in other ways slightly superior copy of the WPL B1. I say slightly superior because this includes things like the winch cable and shackles being picked out in silver paint, glazed headlamp lenses and windscreen, and most importantly a 180 sized motor on the RTR rather than the puny 130 you get with WPL. Let me just illustrate the difference in torque. So here comes the B24 on its way to join the Fayee. That's all it's prepared to do for us, guys. It's stopped. Right, let's see how the Fayee gets on. The clear victor. So as an RTR this comes with a nice torquey motor, and I really don't mind the bang bang steering. What I do want to do, however, is remove the 1/16 scale cab and rear body and replace them with this 1/12 scale Fordson van body, because I want to make this into a tracked post-apocalyptic vehicle. I even managed to rescue the LEDs. Let's see how the wheelbase lines up. Oh yeah, that's spot on. I've started cutting out the body, and I've also cut myself some armour to go over the wheel arches and windows. Next I'll tackle the openings for the screen and the radiator grille. I've fitted my armoured panels to the windows and also to the wheel arches. On the arches I afterwards added some absolutely tiny steel screws. I think they're 1.5mm threads. The smallest drill bit I own was too big for these, so I made the holes by heating a small piece of steel wire on the cooker and pushing it through the plastic. I cut out the grille and the windscreen aperture, and I've started armouring the windscreen with one of my favourite airline coffee stirrer sticks. I've used another to fit across the rear of the body here and stiffen it up. I'm going to depict this Fordson van with the driver and passenger doors welded shut. The only access will be via a heavily armoured rear door. This is because I know from watching post-apocalyptic movies that post-apocalyptic baddies have a nasty habit of coming alongside you at speed, shooting a grappling iron into your door and then veering off and plucking the door off, leaving you horribly exposed. The crew of our van are also going to need some means of returning fire. Perhaps an armoured raised section of the roof where it would be possible for a person to stand. This red panel was part of the back body of the garbage truck which I used in my last build. I've hinged it onto here. I need to work out some means of holding it shut. I've also cut this large hole in the top of the body to accommodate this. It's the cab section from a B1, and it fits on to these two holes which locate it positively, and it should sit something like that. I've cut out a rear panel for the armoured cupola, and I've also cut out a rear half for the roof of the cupola. The reason I've cut a hexagonal hole in it is this. It's actually the base on which an action figure was supplied, and the inside of it is covered in tiny writing talking about how this logo is heavily copyrighted, so we better get rid of that. The last thing I'm going to do to the cupola is to add this. It's actually the handle from a plastic 5-litre water bottle, but it has a section like angle iron, and I propose to put it like that as a sort of combing. This thing is a hanger for neckties. The great thing about it is that each of these elements has the cross section of a piece of sea channel. They're flat on the back, so they're easy to glue to flat surfaces with the web against the surface and the two flanges extended towards the viewer. I'll be using these pieces of sea channel to provide armour for the vehicle's fuel tanks. I've made up some body mounts. This rear one is made from an aluminium strip with aluminium angle fixed to it and tiny blocks of timber to accept a screw coming through the body. At the front of the vehicle I've used my graving tool to delineate the edge of the grille surround, and I've also found this old toy grade front bumper. It used to be RC and it's licensed by Chrysler Jeep Limited. I'll be carving that up and putting it on there. I should also mention that I've used a combination of a hacksaw and a Dremel to make a flip open front so I can gain access to the battery. I've made this little L-shaped fastener to hold the back door shut. Quite simple, using more of the tiny bolts. With the latch for the rear door complete, I was able to paint the entire body. Here's our hatch for the gunner. I've made up a couple of headlamps from Sharpie or marker pen caps and glued them directly to the wings or fenders, and I've extended the wires for the LEDs by just twisting them together and wrapping them in tape, because I still have no solder or flux. I've put some rudimentary armour on these fuel tanks. They just need some paint and they can go back on. The armoured and painted tanks are in place. They're a bit difficult to see except from down low because I've added a floor. These holes go through directly to the inside of the headlamp bulbs, but they're not quite big enough for me to poke the LED through. I'm going to have to enlarge them. I've added a sheet here which on the other side is covered in black cloth, just so that you can't see through here. I've also added a dashboard. I didn't really feel that this guy looked post-apocalyptic enough in his double denim outfit, so I sprayed him matte black in the hopes that it'll now look as though he's wearing leather. Here we have a homemade steering wheel with quite a long column because the driver figures ended up sitting a little further back than I would have liked from the dashboard. With the wheel painted and firmly in the driver's grasp, I was able to fit the body and screw it on. Though frankly I don't know why I bothered with the wheel, as it's almost impossible to get a shot of him holding it from outside. And the twisted together wires are providing just enough current to get the headlamps working for once. This model's ready to take on the wasteland. Let's see if it's any good. Still there?
Still there.
We'll have to keep going through the day then.
Shall I drive through a bit?
Yeah, go on.
What do you think?
I think we are in Rat's Alley, where the dead men lost their bones.
Elliot, most appropriate. Do you think we can still catch up with them today?
Yes, my queen, if we're willing to risk them seeing our dust.
Tell the other car to go back, to go round these rocks, sunwise, and to flank them without being seen. You must be knackered.
I do need a kit, yeah.
I'll keep watch from up there. Sorry, mate. Dust cloud, one vehicle, about 2 hours back.
If it's a track vehicle, it's probably slow. As slow as us, maybe.
And if it's not?
Then they're probably going to have had to go round that rocky bit we crossed this morning. You better drive. Let's go. They stopped here for a while. They drifted a gloil here, and someone was lying down.
Waiting, perhaps, to see whether we're following.
It was careless of them to let us see their dust like that.
Too careless, perhaps?
Almost like they're not hunting us down.
But herding us along.
The question is, are they herding us towards something bad, or just...
Escorting us politely off the premises?
or even just wondering who we are and where we go after nipping across their bit?
Do we want them to know that? What's it worth to us to stop them finding?
Let's say that's all they want to know. What could they do with that knowledge? How much should we risk to stop them finding out?
Reckon it's time?
I suppose you're right. They're stuck! You kept us going, and that's it! I'm sorry, my queen. They have got away. Well, they have tracks and we don't. After all.
Look over there. Even with tracks, they only just got up here.